Looks amazing. Can't see anything, so you're gonna tell me when you're done.
Yeah, I'm almost to the end here, I think.
Well, hey everyone, I'm here with Jason. We're on the Hutchinson campus of Ridgewater College looking at our welding program. How you doing today, Jason?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
I'm doing awesome. So just to start us off, why don't you give us a little bit of your background and some of the other faculty that are part of this program?
My name is Jason Eastling. I teach on the Hutch campus here. We have a one-year program. We have two other instructors that teach on the Wilmer campus, John Travis and Cody Sarsland. The Wilmer campus also has a second-year program, so they have the two instructors there and the one instructor here.
Yeah, awesome. So, and how long has the program been at Ridgewater?
Before my time.
Yeah.
So, I think ever since Ridgewater kind of was established, even back in the Hutchinson Voltech era and Wilmer Tech. So back in the 70s for sure. Yeah.
How long have you and the other two faculty been with the program?
I have been teaching for about 18, 19 years now.
Okay. Awesome.
John Travis has been on a part of the welding program for about 7 or 8. And then Cody Sarsland, I think, is 10 to 12, somewhere in there. So
yeah, really established. This is a program that's frequently quite full.
Yes, we get filled up usually every year, probably midsummer. So I tell a lot of the students that are looking get into the program to sign up early. Otherwise you'll be put on a waiting list. We only kind of accept 20 students per class to keep the class size down a little bit. So we get a really good one-on-one introduction and training to the student.
Yeah. So first year is on both campuses, second year Wilmer only.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. All right, and so I think today you're going to show us a little bit of the hands-on demonstration, some of the things that the students learn in the first year?
Yes.
All right, well, let's do it.
All right, perfect.
All right, here we are, Jason. The first thing you wanted to show us, a couple students over here. What are they on? What are they doing?
So right now the students are bending up a dustpan. So they went to a CAD software program, drew up this dustpan. They came and set the machine up to do a certain size bend.
Okay.
And so right now that's what they're doing is they're doing the bends. And as you can see, they got the right size die to fit inside of each other, inside the bends that they have. They got that little small bend on the inside. So they got section dies in there.
Okay.
Essentially is what we got. So a really big part of our program is not just the welding side. We do a lot of fabricating. So, that's what separates kind of Ridgewater as a whole is we focus on creating a welder / fabricator, somebody that potentially can go and do their own business or get right out of the gates on a company that can actually build something from start to finish.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of just being able to do like a 4 to 6 inch weld all year.
Right.
So we do a lot of training on a lot of machines like this brake press here. So.
And this specifically, what they're bending right now is part of a fundraiser, I think you said?
Yes. So right now came up with the idea of everybody needs a dustpan in their garage type of thing. Yep. So like I said, they went and kind of drew it all up, and now we're going to bend them up, weld them up, and then I think we're selling them for $20. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, if they're still available, you can pick them up.
Yes, you can.
Awesome. So this machine, at what point in the program do they start to interact with this?
Usually in the first semester, I introduce a little bit of the basics of what tools to select, stuff like that. We learned a little bit about how much is the metal gonna bend and stretch or shrink.
Sure.
So we learn it's bend tolerances and stuff like that. So once they get through that, then they'll start doing the CAD. But usually first semester, we're dabbling into this and getting kind of what we need to do. And essentially, you need to know how to do some of this to build projects.
Sure.
So
yep.
Kind of what we establish on.
Awesome. Is it normally 2 people would be operating that, or is that just for kind of the learning that?
Right now, it is just they kind of wanted to tackle this project themselves.
Sure.
So these two are just kind of working together.
Yep.
So from start to finish.
Awesome. All right, should we move on to the next thing?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. All right, Jason, what are we doing here?
Right now, so this is one of kind of the little lessons I give my students. We have a lot of sanitary food grade industry around this area. So one of the things that we do is we teach them how to purge out pipe. So right now is I have two kind of sanitary pipes right here, and I have my purge plug put in. So what's happening is argon from the tank is filling up this tube.
Oh.
And then I got a little hole on this side that's pushing out all the oxygen on the inside.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is the weld on the inside is going to be nice and clean. And so they just have to run a little bit of acid through it. And
okay.
So then they can just run it right into production. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm using a gas tungsten arc welder right now. And I am going to strike my arc here. And I am going to run a puddle to melt all the way through this pipe. And then I'm going to weld all the way around.
All right.
All right.
Awesome. Ready to do it? Should I put my cool helmet on?
Yes.
All right. Awesome.
Here we go. And so essentially what I'm doing right now is I'm watching that puddle kind of sink down in there. And then I'm rotating the pipe in my hand while welding. And so what we'll have here is a weld that comes all the way around. And this will be purged out all the way through. So I'm going to keep that gas on there for a while.
Yep.
But on the inside, we'll have a really nice, clean looking weld. So if I put this up here, and this pipe's kind of hot, and I can show you what I did earlier today. But you'll notice that on the inside here, see how we have this weld on the inside?
Yep.
And it looks nice and clean, just like it was on the outside. So
okay.
It's kind
when do students learn this in the program?
Students will do this a little bit more in the advanced level.
Okay.
So this is going to be like the end of the second semester, almost in the last couple, 2 to 3 weeks.
Yep.
I pushed my students really hard. So this 1 year is probably close to a year and a half's worth of content that I try pushing on students, which I'll get ones that really, really excel and I can push really far. And I get ones that are just going to get to the median of the road.
Yep.
So, but this is kind of the end of the year type thing. So they go into the stainless industry.
A little bit of a capstone area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So
awesome. All right. You got one more thing to show us too?
Sure.
Can I keep the cool helmet on?
Sure.
All right.
So this is our welding shop in here. This is where a lot of our welding gets done.
Okay.
The basic training of all the processes that we learn. So from our gas welding to stick welding to wire welding to TIG welding, all those processes are going to be learned in this shop over here.
Yeah.
So essentially what I have 4 different islands set up with Miller and Lincoln welders, where we do a lot of our stick welding and wire feed welding.
Okay.
Right now, a lot of students are in the stick welding or SMAW shielded metal arc welding classes. So you'll see a lot of that happening right now. And then on the back wall, we'll have a lot of our TIG welding side going on. So if we just walk forward, you can kind of see some of these guys working in here.
Every student get their own station, or do they bounce around depending on what they're doing?
Usually everybody gets their own station for what they're doing. And then if there's not a station available, they just hop to a different welder that's open.
Okay.
So,
yep.
Nothing's really assigned. It's just kind of come in, set up your welder, and do what you need to do.
Yeah.
On the most part.
Yeah.
So essentially we have these Lincolns on this side. I got Miller on that side. Essentially all state-of-the-art, kind of what students are going to see out in the industry for what they need to know.
Yep.
And so on. So from there, students come in, do their weldments on my syllabus that I have.
Yeah.
And then they'll have a final project at the end.
Okay.
That they'll have to complete for me. So, and then on the back wall, what we'll have is to come this way. You see students doing projects here.
Yeah.
A lot of them doing some overhead welding here on flux core. So I know he's priming up to work in the kind of water tower business.
Okay.
So he's going to go repair water towers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's trying to get his practice in for his certification test as he goes.
So is it a little bit specialized for certain students that are trying to go in a certain field?
Yeah. So there's not one area that students go into. You know, I get some that'll go what I call being trigger pullers, or go in a wire feed application where they build a bunch of trailers or quick attachments for Bobcat or whatever it is. And then there are fields where you get into the sanitary field, right? Doing food grade quality. You get in on the road, pipeline, like I said, water towers. So there's a lot of avenues, and I kind of let the kid decide kind of what area does he really enjoy the most.
Yeah.
And then kind of as he gets going throughout the year, kind of this time of year, because we only got a couple weeks left, to hone in on that skill level of that area that he really wants to try.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the way the course is set up, is get it all as much as you possibly can, and then hone in what you really, really love to do.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's awesome that they can do that towards the end of their time.
And then on the back side here, we have booths along the end walls here that are all going to be hooked up kind of like this, to where we have Miller Dynasty TIG welders, and a nice big work area for students to work on their different weldments that they're doing throughout the year. So,
for those that don't know what TIG welding is, it's when you have some material, right?
Yep.
And you're using
so
that
essentially TIG welding here, which this gun looks like the student's sharpening it right now, but essentially you have a gun that holds a electrode or a tungsten, and your electricity comes off of that. And then what you do is you create a puddle, and then you're adding a filler material with that. So if it's aluminum, stainless, or whatever it is, and then you have a shielding gas that comes out. It's a lot cleaner welding process, but it's a lot harder it's one of the harder processes to learn and pick up. So we like to do our gas welding at the beginning of the year just to control the puddle. And then once we get to this, hopefully the control of the puddle for the students is a lot more, so they can pick this up a little bit faster and not struggle too much on it. So, But that's kind of our welding shop, where students come in, they do their weldments, and like I said, at the end of the year, they get little final prints that I can show you later.
Awesome. That sounds great. All right, I'm here with Braxton, who's in year 1 of our welding program on the Hutchinson campus. How you doing, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good. First of all, I want to say thank you for dressing up for this interview.
Of course,
really
I'm always looking good.
Awesome. Well, I want to ask you a couple questions about the program, if that's okay.
Yep.
First question is, what is your favorite thing that you've learned so far?
A couple weeks ago, we did some like 2-foot pipe. Going around that, learning that skill was real fun.
Okay, yep. What would you say is the hardest thing you've learned so far?
Definitely that pipe.
That pipe was the hardest thing. Yeah, same thing. Awesome. And I've been in this area now for a couple hours here. Seems like a really fun culture to be a part of. I mean, of all the programs we've shot, this has probably been the most casual, lots of jokes, lots of fun. How would you describe the culture, the faculty, and what you've experienced?
For sure. Just a lot of fun. Jason really opens up the opportunity to actually have fun. You're not sitting there doing welds for 6 hours a day. You're allowed to actually be yourself and not have to nose to the grindstone all day.
Yep.
Faculty's just, I haven't met anybody who isn't nice. We'll go down to the NDT department. They'll shoot whatever we need to get shot.
Yep.
No questions asked. Real nice people.
Awesome. Good. And last question, if I'm a prospective student and I feel like this might be something I'm interested in, but I'm just kind of on the fence, what kind of encouragement would you give?
I'd definitely say give it a shot. I was on the fence. I'm a PSEO student.
Okay.
So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my future. I saw this opportunity. I was kind of nervous about it, but I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah.
Learned a lot of things, and it was a great opportunity.
Awesome. Maxon, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Great to meet you.
Great to meet you.
All right, I'm here with Jameson. Can I ask you a few questions about the program?
Absolutely.
Sweet. Well, first question is, what is your favorite thing you've learned so far?
Favorite thing I learned so far here is easily the TIG welding.
TIG welding.
Especially on stainless.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, but it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, you get a lot of reward out of it.
I can imagine.
Yep.
So would that be the hardest thing, or would something else be the hardest thing you've learned?
I'd say probably aluminum TIG was harder to learn.
Yeah.
That and a lot of like your overhead stuff on all your other processes, MIG and stick, you know.
Yeah.
That's challenging stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely takes a lot more practice and time to get through that. So.
Sure. Yep. And how would you describe the culture, the faculty? It seems like it's a lot of fun to be here.
Everybody gets along really well.
Yeah.
You know, Jason's a great teacher. He's always willing to help out and whatnot. You know.
Yeah.
Everybody jokes with each other, but it's a good community feeling that you get. You know.
Yeah.
You know, the dean will come down, he'll joke with you, you get a good time.
Yeah. You can kind of get that sense just being in the space
Yep,
that everyone
yep.
likes to be here.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we've
Yeah.
we've gone to other schools, and you don't get that same feeling when you're there.
Yeah.
And you know, that's nice part about what we do here too. We'll go to other places, you'll see other things,
Yep.
tours and all that, state competition. You get to see how everybody else does, and you're like, yeah, I like it here just a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, so,
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And then last question. If I'm a prospective student, I'm watching this and I'm kind of on the fence. I think I might be interested. I'm just not sure. What encouragement would you give?
I would say do it. You know, I was a little on the fence, and I actually sat down and met with Jason before the program started.
Yeah.
And you know, he ran me through a good thing. He talked about the pros and the cons and how that this place is. You know, everybody says they're better than the others, but you know, he gives you his reasoning of
Yeah.
why this facility is above all. You know, you have the option of going to a second year here through Wilmer, which
Yep.
is really nice. So you get a lot of opportunities that way, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of doors that this place opens that others won't.
Yeah.
You know, they have a lot of contact with businesses out of town and whatnot, and they'll set you up with jobs real easy, and
Yeah.
they get your future started. So
That's good. So
It's-
even
it's
if
a
you're,
good place.
If you're really on the fence, maybe sit down with Jason and just ask him the questions.
exactly, if you're on the fence,
Yeah.
you can call and set up a meeting with him, or just come in. He'll be here, you know,
Yeah.
and he'll sit down. You see him all the time. We'll be at lunch. People will come talk to him, and he'll run them through. And so, yeah, it definitely helps a lot with that.
Awesome. Jameson, great to meet you.
Absolutely.
Have a good one. All right, Jason, we've been around. You've shown us a little bit of the space here. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about the program. You said there's a 1 year and a 2 year program. What's the certification that you can walk away with at the end there?
So what Ridgewater offers is we have a kind of a 1 semester certificate.
Okay.
Essentially, you learn the basics of a lot of the different fields. It's kind of like an intro. So if somebody's really not quite totally on the welding field, maybe
Yeah.
they just want to get a little bit of a dabble of it, a tester. You can go out and get a job off for it, but you're not going to have the skills that like a 1 year diploma. So
Sure.
that'd be the next level up, is a 1 year diploma.
Yep.
And then from there, our Wilmer campus has the second year. They have a second year diploma.
Okay.
And then we also offer an AAS degree in that second year. So
Yep. Yep. And if you're a student in the first year program, what does a typical week look like? What could they expect if they came into the program?
So the typical week here is Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
We start about 8 o'clock and we go to about 3:30
Yeah.
in the afternoon every day. It's pretty much a student should expect this as being a job. This
Yeah.
is their next step from high school, you know, right before they're going to go out to the real world and actually have to go to be on the job on site. So
Yep.
I have a pretty strong attendance policy. So to help train those students that haven't quite learned that yet, that, all right, this is your job for the next 9 months on this campus here. So come in, get ready to work,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yep. Is there classroom portions with it, or are they mostly in this space, hands-on with things?
Well, yes, we have some classroom portion. I am not a big classroom type instructor, but I do realize you have to understand. You have to know what gas is. You have to know the basics of it. We do have a lot of classroom stuff. We have probably about 4 to 6 credits of classroom that we teach. From that, I like to take my classroom into the lab.
Yeah.
I know welding students are a lot of hands-on learners usually, and if I can show them on the machine versus me lecturing them, I'll do that. So I run my program as probably about 80% in the lab, 20% in the classroom.
Yeah.
So
Yep. And how much does the program cost per semester for the 1 year?
I think typically just for all the 32 credits, I'm going to say right around the 65 to max of 7,000, I think,
Sure.
is what it is now.
Yep.
For the tools, it's all on the student, because you
Yeah.
can buy a $800 welding helmet if you really wanted to, but you can get away with, I think, just with the tools and books, probably under $900
Okay.
for what you need to
Yeah.
get through the 1 year.
Yep. So I'd say
Books and tools.
7,800 with materials
Yeah.
and things. Yep.
Yep.
And then what positions do you see students moving into when they first enter the field, either out of the 1 year or the 2 year?
I kind of see students moving into a lot of different directions. I get a bunch that go into the stainless steel area. I get a lot that will go do the wire feed side. It all depends. It's year to year on what students do,
Yeah.
and what they are actually loving to do. And I kind of tell my students that you got to find the passion that you love,
Yeah.
and you got to find the job that you love. And if you hate going to work every day, it's going to be a long life.
Right.
So, and that's why it's nice to be so broad and give them so many different skills in this versus just, hey, I can learn how to wire feed. Yeah. But can you TIG weld, stick weld? Now, can I go anywhere? Essentially what it is.
Yep.
So I see them going a lot of different places.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier in this program specifically, one of the differences is not just focused on welding, it's also kind of a fabrication side too, which also kind of opens up the opportunities to where someone might go.
Yeah. So a lot of the fabrication that we do is they learn how to do flat lengths of rolling cones and brake press and fixture tables and build a project from ground up. A lot of them, I've had some students that love to go and start their own business and try their own adventure out in the world of welding. And some of them do really, really well and succeed. And some just do it as a little bit of side cash and work full time.
Yep.
So essentially for me, that happened with me. I have my own business on the side. I went through this exact same program back in the day. And so now I am kind of doing this, and then I have my own business on the side that I do in the summertime. So it's kind of, you can go anywhere.
Yeah. And it's probably tough to nail down, but a range of kind of starting salaries that you tend to see for students.
It's getting more and more because there's such a need for welders, but I think I got a lot of students starting out at like $26 an hour right now, which is pretty good pay for a 1-year degree.
Right.
Most of my students are actually working full-time or almost full-time. And so by the time they leave, they're going to be debt-free.
Yep.
And let's go.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
It's always good to be debt-free.
It's always good to be debt-free.
So, it's kind of nice. $26 an hour, and that's not even including overtime. So.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, questions on just the future. What do you see with maybe the rise of automation? Maybe you'd call it AI, but just how the industry is changing and where you see the need maybe going?
Robotics is getting more and more out there, and it's kind of picking up just because there is a shortfall of welders right now, and so we need bodies. And it's not that robots are taking the jobs; it's just they can go 24 hours a day.
Sure.
And so we still need the programmers that know how to weld with a robot, and that's kind of what our Wilmer campus does.
Okay. Yeah.
They have a lot more robot and pipe welding side in that second year. So, but there's a big kick right now. I'm kind of curious to see where it's going to go. It's laser welding. So it's kind of new to the industry. There's a lot of safety concern right now, but that might be a future thing at Ridgewater where we dabble into a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, last question. If I am a prospective student and I'm thinking, I want to know more about this, I think I might be interested in the welding program, either on the Hutchinson campus or the Wilmer campus, what should I do?
Well, get in contact with the ladies up front or the people up front. They're really good to work with. They'll get you on the right path. Fill out an application to become a part of Ridgewater. And for me, if you're interested, get a hold of somebody or look me up on email and just email me or get my phone number. I have an open door policy here. If I have a
swing by,
if I have a high school student that says, "Hey, I'm interested in welding," I probably will bring you in and put a welding helmet on you, and I'll have you sit down and weld for a couple hours. So, which is good. I like getting students in here so they can see what it's all about prior to making an investment into their career. So,
awesome. Well, you heard it here, folks. That's the welding program on the Hutchinson campus, which we also have on the Wilmer campus. If you're curious, have any questions, please reach out to us via the phone or on the website. We'll get you in touch with the recruiting office who would love to answer your questions. We'll see you next time.